Hey everyone, and welcome or welcome back to the channel. This is your host Carmina, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Mirela. Hi Mirela, nice to have you with us.
Hi, Carmina. It's so nice to see you again. Thank you
Nice
for
to-
inviting me.
You're very welcome. Mirela actually has been a student of mine at some point. She's also been a student of Ernst Wilhelm. And of Ryan Kurzak. She learned astrology, cards of truth, and she also has her own website, chartrectification.com, and her own YouTube with the same name. And I invite you to check those out. And if you're interested in readings or anything, just contact her. So Mirela today joined us because we wanted to look at the new moon from the perspective of the cards of truth this time. When the
300.
new moon happens, the sun is conjuncting the moon in the same sign, the same degree. So the new moon is, of course, always the start of new intentions, maybe new project, new plans. But at the same time, you know, because the sun and moon are so close together and the sun agitates everyone it joins, it can also be a little time for the mind being restless. So let's see from the cards of truth perspective, Mirela. Maybe you want to share your screen with us?
Yes, I'd love to. So, hopefully I'm getting this right. Let me know if I don't. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. So I see there that the date will be the 26th of November.
Yes, and I chose a spot somewhere in US, like New York time. So it is an exact conjunction around 10:05 in the morning. But of course, we're gonna feel that energy throughout the day. And what's interesting, this new moon is happening in Sagittarius, which is the ninth natural sign. But when we look at it with the cards of truth, it falls on the Jupiter card, since Jupiter is the one that rules both Sagittarius and Pisces. And just as it's made for us, I was talking about Sagittarius being the ninth sign. We actually have a nine of spades. Spades are fire. Sagittarius is a fire sign. So we have a lot of introspection that's coming through this beautiful nine of spades. This is not an easy card, of course, but that's kind of, it's once a year, right? Like Sagittarius new moon only happens once a year. And in the cards of truth, for all of us, we have a seven of hearts energy. That's also not the brightest, the most fulfilling energy, and it kind of goes in hand with the tone of a new moon, because a full moon is said to bring you stuff. A new moon, it can bring new beginning, but a new beginning also implies an end of some kind. So I think these energies that we're playing with 7 and 9 are exactly kind of the ending of something, the completion. So I think it's going to give us some food for thought in this new Sagittarius moon. What do you think?
Yeah, I really think it's interesting that the card of the day for that day is going to be that Seven of Hearts. That's like the card that says, okay, you know, a lot of things have been happening to you emotionally that you don't like, and you feel hurt, and maybe you feel a little victimized. But now it's time to, okay, put that behind you, just let go of it and maybe start fresh, right? So it's time for just not feeling emotionally victimized anymore, and just, you know, just being aware that, okay, there are some negative emotions, there are some unwanted emotional things, or like relationships in my life, because the heart suit has to do with family, relationship, also devotion. Maybe it also has to do with spiritual practice. Maybe it's like, okay, it's something that's coming to an end, that it's expired, it's ended, just like the leaves expired. The leaves expired in the autumn, right? So the tree doesn't cry when it has to let the leaves go. So we don't have to cry when we have to let some negative feelings go, right? So I think it's a really nice energy, and I like how you connected that with the Nine of Spades there in the Jupiter card. It's like, okay, a card of very hard work, but it's also like a conclusion. It's a completion, like, you know, the South Node energy of endings in a way, but it's an ending, a conclusion, like a surrender to something.
Yes, because the Nine of Spades, as we know it, it's like being okay with things they're no longer in existence. They came to an end, to a completion of some kind. And what's nice, well, it's not nice. We may not feel it like, again, fulfilling in that day, but it signifies that card, because Jupiter is in Sagittarius right now. Jupiter is in this card, so it's able to manifest it. And like you've mentioned something about new beginnings, look, we also have a Neptune here, and that's a Jack of Spades. So it's like, take a risk, do something new, figure out what, because when we get to a seven energy, like a seven of hearts, like that fruit, like you say, it's no longer good. So why would we cry for something, for an apple that's no longer, it's a bad apple, it's a bad fruit. So it's time to let that go. And what's going to happen to anything that we let go, and especially fruits, they're going to fall off the tree, and in time they're going to create the nourishment for something else to grow. It's the same with the Nine of Spades. It's like that broken tree, it fell over. We now contemplate, and sometimes you have beautiful images out of these broken trees, broken structures in a way, right? Because spade is, I mean, it could be a structure, I guess. Diamonds could also be a structure, but that implies like a new beginning of some kind. And this card can really manifest for us that day, because we have Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Neptune in there. And it can really, really make us think twice. I think, can we use the Hermit kind of correlation with that? We're going to introspect. We're going to introspect why it didn't work. Something, the Seven of Hearts, we always have to kind of look back. That's a limitation, and we can no longer grow that, and like externally, because hearts are all about external. And we have to really look inside and figure out, okay, well, this portion is over, but now it's about a new beginning. What kind of risks do I want to take? And I don't know if we can look at this, but we actually have the second and the 12th cusp there. And those are very much so about what our needs are, our responsibilities, maybe even health, finances, things that we really do need in order to survive. Could be about wealth too, but like the wealth that you actually need, nourishment, food, stuff like that. And look, the 12th cusp is also active here. So that's the cusp of letting go, or expenses, or separation of some kind. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, thank you for also for making the connection to the tarot deck. So like Mirela was saying, the black nines, the Nine of Spades, is connected to the Hermit energy. So like more going inward and retreating, gathering your strength, your forces. And that Seven of Hearts, which is the card of the day, that's actually the Death card in the Major Arcana of Tarot. So it has this inward connotation, both of them, so like going inward, because always, of course, it's a new moon, it's a new start, but the most difficult thing about new beginnings is letting go of the reminiscent, the old, things that you're dragging with you, like the old luggage that you're carrying with you. So this is like a kind of like a wake-up call. Okay, this is the end of that. Just think about it, take some time, think about it. Nine of Spades, just sit alone, contemplate it, work hard on letting go of it, and be aware, like Seven of Hearts, be aware that this is like a transformational moment. This is like over. Just observe what is happening, observe the letting go, and just gather your strength and discipline yourself with that, and persevere, have patience, because with the sevens always you need to be patient. It's gonna work, but just have patience. That's the key, the secret. I also like that there's a King of Hearts there in the spread, that is also echoing that Seven of Hearts energy, because we know the kings have the 7, the 8s, and the 9s. So yeah, we have 3 hearts in the first 7 cards. We have 2 spades. So it's more like, this heart spade energy. So like the spade, yourself, your inner life, and the hearts, your relationship life, the flow of your relationships with your family, with your close ones. What do you think about that ecliptic being the Four of Clubs, Mirela?
I was actually thinking about that. You read minds. I was thinking about the ecliptic because it's such a unique card. If we look at this spread for the day, we don't really have a whole lot of stability. We do have a little bit in the Venus card, and maybe we can talk about that. A 2 Uranus going into a 2 of Hearts Venus. But because of the positioning of the Venus, we have some shame in there, some starvation and some shame, some delight as well. So that goes very well with what you've mentioned. So we'll look over that. But this ecliptic is basically kind of the only stabilizing card. We also have a 6 of Hearts, but it's K2, which has more like what we have to let go of, right? And yeah, so it's a lot of transformational energy. But what that tells me is that what we're walking toward is the stability of outside conditions. So even though this beginning seems to be a little rough, and it's not the easiest that's coming along, it's meant to produce results or a path or that's somewhat stabilizing. And I think that's nice. And another thing that comes to my mind is Ernst talks about the 7 of Hearts. Not 7 of Hearts generally, but generally a 7. When at 7, there are things no longer work. There's the destruction card, limitation card, but we have to always go back to a 4, right? And figure out. So I think this new beginning is meant to allow us to have some understanding, because I think a black 4, it has to do with the high priest, right? So in the end, I think this beginning is about really understanding and stabilizing the outer conditions, any kind of projects you may be involved with, any kind of strategies. So the energy is meant to stabilize. And it would be interesting, of course, to look at a full moon, because that's kind of, you know, we're going to see kind of the results in a way of this new moon. What are your thoughts about this ecliptic?
Yeah, I think you summarized it very well. That Four of Clubs is a really nice card to get in a reading. It's you know, it's like a stabilizing, like a security, like peace of mind, right? Because the clubs are the mind, and the 4 is like, you know, being home, being at peace with something. So it's really nice to have that anchoring all the struggles in the spread. And if you look closely at the Pluto card, we also see a club there, and it's the 8 of clubs. So it's also very interesting. So in a way, you have to stabilize and to retreat, to come back home, right? Like the 4, instead of, you know, you have to let go of maybe that ambition of the 8 of clubs, and, you know, come back to a more basic level, which is the 4. That's like for me the anchor point in this spread. And you were mentioning something about that 2 of Hearts. We see a 2 of Hearts, we also see a Jack of Hearts in the spread. What do you think about those?
I was thinking that some of the choices, because in a lot of ways, the Venus card to me shows the choices. Are you fulfilled with the choices you've made? Are your desires okay? And a 2 on a Venus card is actually beautiful. So the background for this Venus is like things that we're receptive to, people we connect with, things that we do that we like. It has a 2 of diamond too, so it's how do you make your resources, or, you know, coming together. There are 2 reds. Like this is very much a moon energy, right, into this receptive energy. But the problem with that Venus is, so to me, we're trying to stabilize maybe conditions in our home, things around our children. It has this correlation with marriages or ninth cusp situations. So the potential is there. We're ready to take some action, to do something concretely with this 2 of diamond, Uranus. But the reality is Venus goes here with Saturn, and Saturn is a friend of Venus, but Saturn has the quality of starvation, of starving any planets that's there. And because of the node that we have here and Pluto, this basically creates some delight to that Venus, but also some shame. So there is something that we're not necessarily, I mean, we've been counting on maybe, but it kind of gets destroyed with that Pluto there. So we're having to perform the sacrifice, the King of Hearts sacrifice. So even though that Two of Hearts looks nice, we have the strength, because the King of Hearts is a strong card on Saturn, actually. We have the strength to let go of whatever didn't work in the process and kind of realign everything. So it's such an energy, like you said, of a new start, of a fresh start. So that's kind of how I see. I think it's about the choices that we desire in our lives and we want to connect with, that we realize that we have limitations around and we have difficulties around them. So I think this is a day for all of us on November 26th that's going to become somehow obvious. But again, it's a transit. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think you summarized it well, and that King of Hearts also has the Pluto energy. So Pluto, you know, Pluto, the planet there in the King card, it has like a strong transformational pull, right? So like you said, it's like a sacrifice. You're gonna sacrifice maybe your own desires in a way, so that you move on, right, to the things that really matter. So maybe you sacrifice some desires that were not, that you thought that were important, but they're actually not in the bigger scheme of things. Because, you know, in Sagittarius, which is the new moon, is like about the bigger scheme of things, right? It's like the purpose, the broader purpose. So we have the sun, moon, Jupiter in Sagittarius. So it's not about like the little things that you desire. It's more about, okay, just letting go of that to be able to embrace the great plan of, you know, the universe, the divine, the whatever is out there that is a greater consciousness beyond us. Yeah, so I think, yeah, do you want to say anything else about the spread?
Well, I was going to give people some hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, the nicest card in this spread is this Mars card, which is a Jack of Hearts. It has Mars in its own card, so it makes it secure. It has a Mercury there that is kind of an enemy, the only enemy Mars has. So that causes a little bit of starvation. But we have the 10 cusp in there, a Mars secure. When we have a Mars that's secure, it's able to go through and, you know, fulfill its duties. So again, I think because the nice ecliptic, which is the Four of Clubs, goes in this card, it's showing me that whatever we fight for, you know, it's to get something that in our lives that has more like long-term connotations because it's a fixed card. I think in the end, this new beginning has to do with letting go of something that no longer worked, understanding what really matters, and then allowing us to connect to something that we've been, I want to say desire because it's Mars, but something we've been fighting for, something that feels right and that brings us joy. So I think that's a fun card to have for the day, for the energy. And it's the nicest card because we have so much of this Jack and King energy, the beginnings and the ending, and we don't really have a lot of Queen. Queens are 4, 5, and 6s, and we have a 6 again is on K2. It's something we would want to count on, but it creates dissatisfaction, especially being in this King of Hearts. So we have to let go of that, you know, happy ending that we would desire temporarily. And then we have part of a Queen, this Four of Clubs ecliptic, which again is kind of very stabilizing. We just have to be allowed to embrace it. And with Mars being with this Mercury in this card, I think we are going to be forced into looking into details. Also, Four of Clubs is the energy of Mercury. So we're now having to maybe go look into what some of the things, analyze some of the things that didn't work in order to produce us more lengthy results, something that we really want in our life. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think it's also great that today, as we're recording this, it's also a Jack of Hearts day. So
is it?
yes.
That's wonderful. I haven't had the chance to look. Yeah,
I
so
just
that's kind
now
of
in
how
the
I'm
stuff,
thinking
I'm
about
like,
it.
Jack of Hearts.
Yes.
So yeah, I think yeah, I think we gave people some food for thought, some nourishment, because hearts are all about nourishment, and we've been talking a lot about heart cards today. So you can just contemplate that and just observe and see how the new moon energy is going, the day itself, and also, you know, a day after, a day before. And yeah, be the witness of what is unfolding, unraveling in your life, without trying to very much control it, you know, emotionally, like to control what is everything that's going on around you and what people are thinking about you. And yeah, that's my advice also to people. Mirela, do you want to share anything else? Do you have, I know you have like a promotion on your readings for the month of November.
Yes, I do. Thank you for mentioning that. So in November, I have 50% off for any new client. And if you go on my website under appointments or online scheduling, you can see the pricing there and the promotional code for it. And then if you are a returning client, I have a 30% off. So there is still time in November. We have 8 more days.
That's great. So thank you very much for joining us today. I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. And yeah, that's
Thank you so
about it.
much.
Have a wonderful new moon, everyone. Check out the channel for more Cards of Truth videos. Check out also my website, carminadeshamsa.com. I'll see you again soon, Mirela. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye.